My name is Letitia.
Hi, I'm Ayana.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
My name is Tiana.
I am acclaimed with an ostomy.
I'm authentic with an ostomy.
And I'm arousing with an ostomy.
I'm appreciative with an ostomy.
Hi, I'm Letitia.
I'm Patricia.
I'm Tiana.
I'm Ayana.
And I'm Ashley. And today we are dispelling ostomy myth. So, ladies, let's get into it. What is a wild question you've been asked as an ostomate? And what would be the correct answer you would give besides mind your business? Anybody?
A wild question that I have been asked is, can you be intimate with an ostomy? So many times people think that we can't do things just as everyone else does, but yes, we can be intimate with an ostomy.
Without any problems.
No
My
problem.
digestive system doesn't work, but everything else is just fine.
All of the parts
Right.
are working.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. All the parts are working.
They're working.
And a lot of times, like, they don't even care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's more us than
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, everything works. You know, we may have a jacked up GI system, but everything else does work. And, you know, we don't have any issues as far as intimacy, besides maybe, of course, like confidence issue, things that we have to work on. But yes, everything works. Okay, I have a question. What are some day-to-day challenges that you all face while living with an ostomy?
Well, you know how we used to be able to just get up and go? Now everything has to be planned. There's no spontaneity. You've got to plan everything to make sure that, you know, you got the supplies if you run out or something happens, like a leak, stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's especially like with bathrooms. Like, even though we have an ostomy and we wear a pouch on the outside, we still have to go to the bathrooms. So I always try to make sure that those are readily accessible. So I try to stay away from like parks that have porta potties and stuff like that, because that is just not comfortable for me.
For me, it's really having to get up in the middle of the night and drain my bag. It's like my body is an alarm clock, and I'll be in good sleep and my body's like, get up, because we have that bag. It's like you have to get up and drain it, so you know you don't have any leaks during the night.
I think for me, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. When you smell something, you just think it's you.
Yeah.
Like, I just
Looking around and everything.
Yeah, it's like a phobia of mine.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it's a phobia.
You have to do the sniff test to yourself.
Yeah.
Right, like, is it me?
That's very true.
Definitely. So I think we all can agree that it's kind of it's hard for us to prepare for day to day because it's very unpredictable. Like, our life is very unpredictable with a bag. As she said, you can wake up in the middle of the night because you have to drain your bag. So because you don't want it to leak, because that's a whole nother story.
Been there.
Yes.
Done that.
Yeah.
So just, you know, preparing for the differences each day, you know, brings. You never know what to be prepared for. So the best you can do is make sure you have all your supplies, know where restrooms are when you have to travel for the day, and, you know, just stay ready so you don't have no leaks.
Right. But what about wellness tips? Like, do you all do things to keep you, like, your health well, your mental health well? Because, you know, having this ostomy is challenging mentally and physically at times.
Therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy has definitely helped me a whole lot just through the entire journey, like from start to finish. And I exercise. I work out a lot too. And for me, I realized like I have way more core strength now than I did when I first started everything. Like,
Welcome to Misconceptions with an Ostomy. Don't get it twisted, where we'll discuss ostomy awareness and common stereotypes that ostomates often hear. Tonight we have Ayana Graves and Letitia Harrison, who are both Coachee ambassadors and ostomates, as well as Candace Lewis, a certified wound, ostomy, and continence nurse from UOAA. Thank you to everyone joining us tonight. Letitia, would you like to kick it off with the start of the conversation?
Yes. Hi. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Misconceptions with an Ostomy. Don't get it twisted. We're going to be talking tonight with my girl Ayana, who's another ostomate, and Candace. We are here bringing you some misconceptions that is often talked about in the community that has sometimes ostomates talk about it, and sometimes people who just do not know what it's like living with ostomy. So I'm going to kick it off tonight first. So this is, I think, for you, Candace, because you are a wound ostomy care nurse. And I just want to know from your perspective, like, what are the biggest assumptions that ostomates come in when they come in for the ostomy care that you hear come out of their mouth or our mouth?
Well, I have the privilege of seeing people prior to their surgery and then also afterwards. And I think the biggest fear that they have or the assumption is that they're not going to live life like they have been before. And so, as the ostomy nurse and also a member of the United Ostomy Association, we have the resources to start an ostomy support group out of Lawrence, Kansas. And so we're one of 300 affiliates of the United Ostomy Association of America. And with that support, we're able to offer them resources and also an ostomy visitor if they have like concerns about like living life with an ostomy.
Oh, so what is an ostomy visitor? Because this is the first time I've heard that term.
Yeah, I never heard that either.
Yeah.
So through our support group and also with the resources that we've been provided with the UOAA, they've actually gave us resources to start an ostomy visitor program. So once you join the program, either ileostomy, colostomy, or urostomy, you're able to link up with a person like similar to your age, male or female, and also be able to assist them along their journey. So they can meet by phone, they can come to the hospital, as long as their provider is aware of it and approves.
Oh wow! So it's like a buddy system.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. I've always wanted a buddy when I got my ostomy, but there was no one to buddy up with me, not even in the same age or same color as I am. How about you, Ayana?
So actually, I kind of did have that because there was a company called 11 Health, and they had patient coaches, and my colorectal surgeon was involved in that research program, and so I was paired with an ostomate. Um, Now she did not look like me, so there was that difference, but we did get very close leading up to my surgery. I asked her all the questions. She was able to, give me some feedback and to give me some direction and lots of tips and strategies. So I kind of had that buddy system that you are describing.
Oh, and how long have you had your ostomy, Ayana? And what type of ostomy do you have?
So I've only had my ostomy for 3.5 years now. I got my ileostomy in May of 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh wow. Yeah, that must have been kind of a struggle for you.
Yeah, I could only have one visitor,
Yeah.
and I only stayed overnight. So I had the WOC.
Wait. You stayed overnight when you got your ostomy?
Yes.
Wow.
My surgeon was adamant about discharging me the next day. So my nurse literally showed me once before I left. I knew that I was gonna need like some direction, so I actually took a video of her doing it. Well, actually, my sister, since she was there, she took a video of her changing my ostomy. But I did get home health care, so for I want to say up to 4 weeks, I did have someone come to my house, an ostomy nurse, and she was able to watch me as I changed and assist me as I needed. So I did have that.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you did have that help. I think I was in the hospital for at least a month.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Wow.
yeah, I remember being there a very long time. I was not going home the next day at all.
Right.
Yeah. So living life to the fullest, Candace, as you say, like a lot of us come in and we just feel like our life has completely stopped because we have a pouch that we have to wear on the outside of our bodies now. Um, as you follow up with the patients, do their mindset and thoughts change after a while?
Yes, I wouldn't say instantaneously because they have to get over that hump as far as like getting familiar with their pouch, getting familiar with like their activities. But
Mhm.
yes, their life pretty much goes on. I mean, living with an ostomy, you can work, as I'm sure both of you do.
Mhm.
You can like be involved in sports activities. You can go swimming, golfing. I mean, you have the opportunity to do all those things, and because of like the new accessories that we have for our ostomy care, they're able to do that. We have barrier rings, extenders, all kind of other accessories to help us along the way, especially with me as a nurse guiding them that way.
Okay. Yeah. So I was really young when I received my ostomy, so I can't really say that I felt like my life was going to stop or
Mhm.
that I wasn't going to be able to do the things that I do now because I was just like really a child. So I kind of grew up with my ostomy and I was just like doing things I guess you can say kids do. I didn't My mom was very protective of me though. Like she didn't let me do a whole lot of things because everyone thought I would get hurt. Because of course this is new. No one has never seen it in my community, in my neighborhood, in my family. So we didn't know the level that what I can do. So it was always be gentle with Tisha all the time. So I didn't as I became an adult, I started being able to do um, things, and I figured that my life was not going to be limited due to an ostomy. And I'm not blaming, my family. They were just doing what families do. They were protecting their loved ones, of course.
Right.
But I do a lot of stuff now. Yeah, I even
So,
had a baby.
Congratulations! Yeah.
so my story is
Oh no, I'm
actually
not a baby no more, but I had one.
so my story is actually probably the exact opposite.
I think we lost Ayana's voice. Sure. Okay. So, Ayana, we were talking about patients feeling like they're going to be limited in doing some things and that their life stops there. Um, what are some wellness tips that you would give them when they feel like, oh, my life is going to stop? This is what that things like that. So, what are some of those tips that you say for them to like move on and to get to moving?
So people are really not familiar with ostomies. However, like 1 in 500 people in the United States have an ostomy. So it's pretty common. And if you go to pretty much any social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, several support groups to help support you along the way. So first and foremost, most when people figure out they need an ostomy or right after surgery, they're really down spirited. And so that's one of the reasons why I had started the ostomy visitor program. And so basically linking up with like an ostomy support group, allowing your loved ones to support you along the way, finding friends and just to kind of grab you, by the arm and say, you can do this, just somebody in your corner that can be encouraging.
Yeah. Okay. Ayana, hello. We still working on Ayana's voice. So, but yeah, those are really some good things like support groups. I know support groups for ostomates are very limited though. Like I've seen like they're not widespread and it's a lot of virtual ones, but a lot of people need some type of human interaction. So getting them to a support group or matching them up with that buddy system is not available in every state, and a lot of people don't have these type of programs, And I'm just wondering, maybe, how can we get that word out to follow suit like your facility does, like with those budget programs?
Well, that was the reason why I had formed the one that we have now in Lawrence, because I think the closest one was in Kansas City. It's probably like 45-minute hour away. Then I believe they also had one in Topeka, not too far away, but not with the Ostomy Visitor Program. So I think just um, getting the word out to like WOCN nurses, especially our ostomy certified nurses, seeing if they can actually, connect with like a church if they have one in the community, connect with a hospital. They have one in every city, just to kind of like get that awareness out, like because as ostomates, you know that you need somebody to depend on and somebody to support you along the way. So I guess as ostomates, we need to, put ourselves out there and just say, we're available. I do get phone calls from the UOAA, because we're advertised in the journals, people looking for those ostomy support groups. And so it's well needed, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is a need for it. And I recognize that need. So with my organization, Coachee Color of Crohn's and Chronic Illness, I did form um, um, a ostomy support group because we do have quite a few ostomates in our group as well. So, this was on my brain and was, I talked to a couple of people trying to see how I can implement it. And then when I did present it to my organization, they really did love the idea. And we just had our first meeting was on Monday, and it was a good turnout, and we all enjoyed it. We enjoyed it so much that we didn't even want to end the meeting. But that is just only one step on a ladder. Like, there's more of us out here that needs the support, and they have the misconceptions, and they're living with this. And we just didn't want them to lead down a path where, they can't recover from, like, depression and things that go down that line. Right. So I think spreading this awareness, and it's more widespread now, because again, when I received my ostomy in the 90s, there was no talk of it. A lot of people in my family is just now realizing I do have an ostomy, because they didn't even know. And I've had my ostomy for about 30 years now, and they had no clue, because it's just something, we didn't talk about. But seeing the commercials and spreading the awareness and just being loud and proud and out there, it's really, really doing a great service for the community. So,
and as you have mentioned, like, so it was pretty much on low profile, like during the 30 years. So nobody was aware that you had a pouch in place. That's how low profile they are. So many people think like, well, somebody's going to see my pouch, or it's going to smell, or, it's going to leak. So yeah, that's another myth or stigma that we have to overcome. People as ostomates, and then also people as nurses, to help people kind of jump over that hurdle.
Yeah, and that's a big misconception, because all of that stuff is in our heads. Like, I will be asking people, they was like, we have no idea what you're talking about. Like, if I wear something cute and I'm like, I can see a bulge, can you see it bulge? And they was like, no, it doesn't look like any other, different than any other lady's stomach that's that's hanging out too, because everybody is so proud of their bodies now, which I love. But yeah, so those things are really, really in our heads, and it's really hard to get those out of our heads once they're in there. But it is a misconception. You can't smell it, and you can barely even see it. People don't even know you have it until you like be vocal about it and let them know, which I do, because I'm always spreading awareness about it. And I want people to ask me, because it's about education. The more people are educated about what's going on, then the more you'll be able to like be into the norm, I guess. Nothing is really normal these days. Everybody has their own sense of normal, but
right.
Yeah,
I think too that they will appreciate life, because you have your ostomy because it saved your life, And without it, you know, I mean, you wouldn't have your. Do you have a daughter?
Yeah. I
Right.
love telling people that.
Right. So there's life, and so we appreciate that.
Yeah, I love telling people that. So while we wait for Ayana to come back, another question was, what are some of the considerations that we wish more people knew about ostomies? And what, you know, I always say, like, when like we're going out and we're planning things, and they're planning things, no one ever considers me. And then when I don't go or do something, or they always like, well, you know, she's acting different and she don't want to go and she don't want to participate. I would love to participate, but there are just some things that I can do, but it's kind of like inconsiderate for me. Like being outside all day at a park with no bathroom access. That's kind of difficult for me because I have an ileostomy. My ileostomy is not on anyone's time schedule but its own.
Right.
So I found myself in those situations a lot, and I would have to leave and go find a restroom at a near like McDonald's or a restaurant or something like that. And I feel like that is always such a hassle for me. Not saying that I can't visit those type of places, but when in the planning stages, it's never like a consideration of someone who has these type of issues, like bathroom issues or mobility issues, any type of issue when it's being planned. So that's kind of a consideration that I would like people, you know, to like consider for someone or a loved one or a friend in the future. Um, another consideration is we're not always, you know, up for it. We have ostomies for a reason. We have some type of medical condition that led us down this road. And sometimes the ostomy is not a cure. We still have those medical conditions. So considering like when you're doing something and including us, we love to be included. Thank you very much. But sometimes our medical conditions do not allow us to participate. And we do not want to be like frowned upon because we say no. Sometimes we just can't do it. So just we are, you know, we are trying to be as normal as possible. We are trying to do as many things as possible. But sometimes our bodies just do not allow us to do those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. It really isn't.
And it's not, and it goes back to awareness. So as you know, speak to your loved ones that are planning the events, that's when you need to say like, okay, well, consider me. Because with our ostomy support group, I don't have an ostomy, but I consider them in everything that I do. And I also request feedback. Sometimes they don't give the feedback that I need. And then, you know, there's a conflict or things like that. So I think just letting people know like what's going on, why you can't make it, and ask them, can they do something in like to accommodate you like at another location? Because if, you know, I mean, if they're considerate and if they want everyone to be involved, they will make that as a group effort. And then, yes, saying no, I mean, we have to take care of ourselves first. So if you have to say no to an event or to a gathering, we just have to say no because, you know, we are first.
Yeah, I understand that. So going on about ostomy care, because all of us, we all like need ostomy care. And I always tell people that I am like talking to or have questions because I get a lot of questions. A lot of the doctors that I work with, they refer their patients to me just to talk to me, especially if they have questions that they don't answer because they don't have an ostomy. And it's always about ostomy care. Like, what can they do to, you know, keep their skin healthy? Because, you know, it comes with, especially with ileostomies, it comes with a lot of skin breakdown sometimes. So what are some things you tell your patients in regards to caring for your ostomy?
Of course, keep it clean and dry. And then when you do start to have that skin breakdown, you want to just do a dusting layer of stoma powder. And most of the time that will work. However, if you have like severe, what we call peristomal moisture-associated skin damage, what we do is form a crust. So you can do just a dusting layer of stoma powder, and then
Mhm.
just like spray or kind of dap some skin prep or skin adhesive over that. And then if it's really intense, then we do like a hydrocolloid over those reddened areas.
Okay, and that doesn't burn or anything, right?
No, so this with the skin prep, you get the no sting, and then
So
the
I
powder.
did notice everything is turning into no sting now. Because back when I had it, it was not no sting. And I'm still traumatized. So I'll be like, no, I'm not trying that. No, I'm not doing that. So and they be like, my ostomy nurse be like, oh my gosh, test it, it doesn't sting. And I'm like, I have so many trust issues with products that used to sting me in the past that I refuse to use today, even when it says no sting. See, it goes back to mental. But we do have a question. So, what are the tips to step back when we overthink and do the most? Um, I can tell you some of my tips that I do because I am a big time overthinker. I'm always overthinking everything. I will create a whole scenario in my head, solve it, and then get attitude about the results that I solved. Woo, that was a mouthful, but it goes back to um, take some time for yourself. Ask yourself, why are you thinking these thoughts? I write them down sometimes. I have like a little book that I write thoughts down, and it goes back to why I even thinking that. Because what is the reason that led me to think that? So I have to circle back all the time. I do a lot of circling back to those things, and then I say, "Stop it, Tisha. You're overreacting. That didn't happen. Why would you solve that? Did you ask the person? Why are you thinking like that?" Things that that go in my head because I am the most overthinker person probably ever. So that is just my tip. What do you think, Candace?
I agree, and I think that us as people in general, and especially when you have an ostomy, just need to be patient with the process. As I tell the people that I take care of, before you get started, even if you have a leak, lay everything out, get organized, be prepared. Because if you don't go in it being prepared or organized mentally, then it's like your whole world will just erupt, and then you be anxious, upset, frustrated, and just ready to give up. So
Yeah,
organization is really the key.
yeah. Ayana, are you back now?
I am back.
Very-
Yay! We got Ayana back in the building.
Yeah, technology.
Technical
Learn from it.
difficulties resolved. Yay! So I know you were hearing what we were talking about, Ayana. Can
Well,
you
no, I couldn't hear you at
oh, you
all.
didn't hear at all? Okay, so
So I could hear Candace, but I couldn't hear you, Latasha. So I have no idea.
we had a great conversation going on. Candace was telling us some tips about ostomy care. We were talking about like what are the some of the biggest like assumptions. We were talking about like considerations for people. So my question to you that I asked Candace about the considerations, what do you think people should consider when interacting with someone with ostomy?
Just when they first learn that the person has an ostomy.
Yeah, like my example is friends and family planning things, and they
Okay,
plan things like at parks with no bathroom access for myself, and
right,
then I can't, I either attend or I can't stay for long because I have an ileostomy, so mine just go whatever. So something like that, like where you just sometimes have to not even attend because it's just not feasible for you in
right.
your situation.
I have an ileostomy too, so I definitely understand um some of the struggles with that. I mean, for me, or when I think about that kind of scenario, in terms of planning like a trip or things of that nature, um, I think it's best for us to be as open as we can because people without ostomies, they don't have to deal with what we have to deal with. They don't have to think ahead as much as we do in terms of the amount of supplies or the time getting to the airport, because we know we might be checked in security, and then we definitely need to use the bathroom before we get on the plane. I remember one time I got to the airport kind of late, and I was literally in the bathroom trying to empty my pouch when on the intercom they started calling my name. I was so I was panicking, and I had to like quickly finish what I was doing and then run to the gate so that the plane wouldn't leave. But I think it's just a matter of your family or friends knowing the details or knowing what you need in order to make the trip or make the event, and seeing if there's alternatives or anything like that before making a final decision as to whether or not you can actually attend or join your family and friends. And like you said, sometimes we just can't because the accessibility might not be there, and we would rather. I mean, it's unfortunate we got to miss out, but we know that in the event there is a leak or something does happen, um, it would be very, embarrassing for us, and we don't want to, have to face that kind of dilemma.
Yeah. Yeah. In regards to, now I never had my name called over the loudspeaker in the airport. Now I have ran through the airport quite a few times,
Yeah.
more times than I can count, but not the name over the loudspeaker. I would have died. But we do have another question. So Ayana, any tips for excessive sweating with the ostomy? I know the weather in some places get very warm, like we were in Texas for UOAA, and it was
Right.
like 112 degrees.
Yeah.
And how to improve adhesion with severe sweating. And that second part can be for you, Candace.
So I definitely experienced this actually in July before our conference, because I went to Orlando and to Disney World for the first time, and it was like high 90s, and I was sweating. And so I kind of knew that it was going to be really hot. Well, I definitely knew it was going to be really hot. So I definitely brought like a huge water bottle and carried that with me throughout, because I knew getting dehydrated was going to probably be an issue. I only wore bike shorts, and I wore I have a stealth belt, and that helps with controlling some of that the
Like the moisture.
the moisture, and protecting your barrier from it starting to lift up, um, because the material, it's like a propylene neoprene material that the stealth belt has. It helps to prevent some of that sweating from staying on your barrier for a long period of time.
Okay. All right. And Candace, how can we improve adhesion with severe sweating?
Okay. Well, thank you for that information, Ayana, because I did not know that about the stealth belt.
Yeah.
So as far as like I said earlier, with sports and activities, it's naturally you sweat, but I would recommend wearing light colored clothes and also light clothes that don't cause that excessive sweating. But then too, there are barrier extenders that you can apply like around your pouch. And if you know you're going to be doing like some extra activities, like going to Disney World, being out in the heat, working, or just having fun, I would recommend too just changing your pouch before you do so. So that way, you can have like a good seal, don't have to worry about the leakage.
Yeah. I wear the barrier extenders all the time. And I go to a lot of amusement parks because of my daughter, and she's always in the wave pool. So those barrier extenders really, really help me out in the wave pool. But I do agree with you, Candace. I do try to find light colors because I know darker colors, you sweat more in darker colors, especially in amusement parks. Um, when we were in Texas at the UOAA conference for ostomates, I had a lot of sundresses because I know that underneath the sundress, I can just be free. I don't have to worry about nothing constricting me or, keeping anything close to my body and stuff like that. It was 112 degrees in Texas. It was really, really warm. I know, Ayana, we were hot. And then my child had me walking in the street. So, so it was hot. So, of course, sweating. But I will say, definitely that those barrier extenders did help. So that is a good tip for those. And I feel like I did change my pouch more often in Texas than I did because of the heat. I wanted to make sure it was nice and fresh, and that even if something did start to leak or lift the day before, it wouldn't carry on to the next day and I'll have a huge accident. So I just made sure I had extra pouches, and I was just changing them more often than I did.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it may be a concern, like if you don't have insurance or if you're limited with supplies, is to change it so often. However, the UOAA, they're a good resource. We refer people to them all the time. And then, like I said earlier, we have an ostomy closet. So, like if ostomates are in need of supplies, reach out to ostomy.org, which is UOAA's website, to see who can help you. So they're a very good resource.
Yeah. I know I referred quite a few people to the ostomy closet due to low supplies and shortages, because it just happens. Anything can happen. Sometimes our skin get rashes and we have to change it and we run out quickly. And so, some insurances only give a limited amount of pouches and supplies to people. So having a closet or having that fallback is really, really reassuring for ostomates. So that's a really great program. So day-to-day challenges that we face. I know, Ayana, we were talking about this, when we were just here in the DC area about our challenges that we face daily with an ostomy, because people feel like we probably just get up and go, which I would love to just get up and go. I would, but that is not the case. I have to make sure I have enough supplies in case of an emergency. I literally have supplies in my car, at work, in my purse, or out and about in the bathrooms, like in my house. I have to have extra on hand because anything can happen. I remember when I first got my ostomy, it used to fall off all the time. Like, I remember being in a mall and it fell off in the mall. It was so embarrassing. I hope no one that knows me is watching that. And be like, yeah, I was in a mall with her.
Yeah. So I wanted to speak on what you guys were just talking about in terms of different ways of getting supplies, because when I first got my ostomy, they put me in Coloplast. And for the first week or two, I was fine. But then I started developing some kind of, at first they thought it was like a fungal infection, but my skin was weepy and the pouches, the barriers would not stay on. And I was itchy, and it was in the summer, it was hot, and I was just miserable. I sent pictures to the ostomy nurse team associated with the hospital that I was at, and they sent me in. They had my colorectal surgeon put in a prescription for antifungal, but I tried that and it didn't work. So fortunately, I was already in some ostomy support groups on Facebook, and I ended up putting a post in the group just asking for advice or help, and put pictures, and a retired WOCN nurse responded and said, no, that's definitely, you're having a reaction to the adhesive. And she told me exactly what to do. She said, get some Head and Shoulders because of the zinc, get some Flonase because of the steroid to calm down my skin. And I switched to Hollister, and that is what I've been with ever since. Sierra Plus, Hollister. which I know you know all about that. That is my go-to because when I had the reaction, I started running out of items as well. So I had to reach out to Hollister, and because I was a new patient, they had the Secure Start program. They were able to send me some samples for free. So that really helped me out until I could get my insurance to send me additional supplies, since I could not use any of the Coloplast that the hospital has sent me home with.
Yeah. So, Candace, how often do you see those reactions like that when patients come in?
They're not common. However, it can occur with any brand, like any manufacturer,
Yeah.
Hollister, Coloplast, Comatech,
Right.
New Hope. I mean, you name it, you can have an allergic reaction. It's just all about how your skin responds to that adhesive. And I'm so
Hmm.
glad that retired ostomy nurse reached out to you, because she was exactly right. You had an allergic reaction to the tape.
Right. And see, that was one of my fears going into ostomy surgery, because I have very sensitive skin already, eczema, and just my skin will break out and doesn't like a lot of different things. So I was worried that going into ostomy surgery that my skin would react to the adhesive, and well, that's why I'm so grateful that we have different companies with different types of adhesives, so that if something doesn't work, you can try something else. Of course, it can be I was scared to try different things as well, because my bad experience with Coloplast, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, there's so many, like you said, there's so many different types of supplies out there that can help you with the different types of powders, the different types of eliminating odor, deodorants, and so on and so forth. So it really helps that in this day and age we have so many options, because I'm
Yeah.
sure back when you first got yours, there wasn't that, it wasn't that many things out there. And just with technology and advancements, we've come a long way.
Yeah. I love the variety. So if one doesn't work for you, just try something different until it works. So that's the things that we have to do. Some things may work for Ayana that don't work for me, and vice versa. Um I'm saying all this to say, if you are having any type of skin issue, or you feel like something is just not right with your skin, always contact the wound ostomy care nurse at the hospital that you attend to. You can ask your GI doctor for that information if you haven't seen a wound ostomy care nurse. I always try to see a ostomy care nurse at least once every 6 months. What is your recommendation, Candace, on seeing you just as follow up care, even if nothing is wrong? Don't you want to just lay eyes on the person just to make sure like everything is going great?
It all depends, and if you have that accessibility, yes. So yes, every 6 months or annually works best.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much gone once a year, unless in this scenario when I was having issues. Because another issue I had,
Hmm.
unfortunately, was after COVID. I was in a two-piece um for since the day I got my ostomy up until November of last year, when I unfortunately got COVID. And for some reason, my skin, it just got really dry, and my stoma itself, for some reason, it now retracts. So I was starting to get leakages, even though I was in a not the concave, but the convex. But now, and I had to do some experimentation. I can only wear one piece um, from Hollister, because when I tried to wear the two piece, for some reason, with my ostomy retracting more, especially when it's active, I kept getting leakages. But for some reason, when I use a one piece and I use a barrier ring, that prevents me from getting leaks. And so that was something that was frustrating at first, but like you said, you just got to try new things and
Yeah.
try what works.
A lot of trial and error. So we
Yeah.
do have a question. Um, are there other ways to get samples in the event of skin reactions and breakdowns? And I'm going to say yes. You could always contact the manufacturer itself where you get supplies from. Samples from when I go see my ostomy care nurse, they always say there's always something new or something to try out. UOAA has the pantry, the closet, correct, Candace, to get
The closet. You
some
just
things.
refer them to UOAA, and then they will refer you to somebody that does have an ostomy closet.
Okay, yep. So you can always contact UOAA um, to try out different things. Do your research. With depending on what type of ostomy you have, is it best to have a two piece or one piece? These things that you're trying out is just trial and error. So if one doesn't work, try something different and keep a log of what you're trying, just so you can mark that off. Because sometimes these products be looking the same to me. Like um, some some stuff on Hollister had a red dot, a blue dot. I don't know
Right.
what these dots mean. And I did not know what they meant. And I was like, well, do I supposed to match up the dots or something? I have no idea. But if you write it down, so that way when you get it and you could just mark that off. If it works for you, great. If it didn't, then we can move on to something else. So those are three great places that you can get some samples from that I named. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, so I wanted to, because I don't think I really answered the question you asked before in terms of some of the things we have to think about as
Oh,
ostomy.
the day-to-day things,
Yeah,
yeah.
day-to-day things. I wanted to go back to that because for me, diet, like sometimes if I'm not, well, there are certain things that I haven't touched yet because of my fear of getting a blockage. And I know everyone's different. Some ostomates can eat whatever they want and have no issues, versus other ostomates where they can eat certain things, say like mushrooms or nuts, and they'll get blockages, which I know I've only had a partial blockage, but that was painful enough for me. I can only imagine what a full blockage feels like, and no one wants to, end up in the ER with an NG tube to, deal with a blockage. I know we've talked, and you've had blockages, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
NG tubes to work, all that stuff. Yeah.
So, I actually often carry snacks with me just in case, where I am doesn't have certain things that will mesh well with my ileostomy, just to make sure that I can, have something to eat and not fear, something is going to go wrong with my ostomy. Also, dehydration. I drink smart water because of the electrolytes. So I usually have water on hand, and then when I go work out, I use G2 Gatorade to help with my hydration as well. Because ileostomy, as you know, 1 minute we could be having the oatmeal good consistency, and the next minute is just very thin, watery, and you get dehydrated very quickly. So
Yeah.
so those are some of the things that we have to think about on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I
That's
agree.
also a misconception. Sorry, Letitia.
No,
That's
you go
also a
ahead.
misconception
I
as
agree.
far as like our diet and just watching what you eat as an ostomate. So I would highly, highly recommend reach out to a dietitian and just follow their lead. And like you said, know your body. However, if you do want to try things, just try it in like a small portion. Don't overdo it, just to see
Hmm.
how well your body responds. Because I think when we start limiting ourselves from, different types of food, we're limiting our nutrition, we're limiting our well-being. So reach out to like a nutritionist or a
Yeah.
dietitian.
Yeah. I remember in the early years, I did have nutritionists, dietitians, and stuff like that. Now that I'm going on, it's been 30 years. You just, I don't even know when the turning point was with, I'm going to eat this and see what happens. And a lot of the times, just like Candace said, my nutritionist said, just eat it, see what happens. If it doesn't agree with you, do not eat it again.
Right.
Like, yeah. hmm
Mm-hmm.
So it's just always, even with the different type of the different type of, you know, pouches and stuff you're using, the food is the same way. Like, if it bothers you, just do not eat it again.
Right.
Just don't set yourself up like that. Because I know a lot of stuff that I can eat, some the next person can't eat, and vice versa. So,
Right.
but I wouldn't be. I know the fear because I have those same fears. I still can't use those little no steam products because I swear they're gonna sting. So, I still not using them. But yeah, I understand the fear of not wanting to try something because you don't want, because blockages do hurt. I used to get blockages all the time. I think it was like every 3 months, but um, I remember my doctor saying, "Let's see why you're getting blockages," and that's when they found I had like some narrowing going on. So
Oh,
it was like almost everything that I ate would cause a blockage, and I was eating before.
right.
So just finding the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I would say just try it, and if it don't work, don't try it again. Small portions though. Don't go in there eating big healthy bowls of stuff and then wonder why you're not feeling well.
Right.
Just small portions. Um and Janine from UOAA says, just this piggyback on the samples, that UOAA does not have samples of products, but you can find manufacturer information on the web page to call for samples, and that is at ostomy.org. And then they also have an emergency supply resource um, on the same webpage, ostomy.org/emergency supplies. So she chimed in to answer that question. Thank you so much, Janine. So, Candace,
Yeah.
I do have a question about my stoma. Because sometimes when Ayana said that hers be retracted, mine did that for a while.
Mm.
But why?
What I've
And
seen in my
what can we
experience,
do? And what can we do at home instead of saying, okay, I'm going to have to go to the doctor? Is there some things we can do to like make it protrude back out?
well, it all goes by like your intestines, of course, the motility.
Right.
However, I've noticed that when people lose weight or gain weight, that's when you tend to see the fluctuation if it's retracted or protrudes out. So that's what I noticed the most.
Mm.
However, you want to try to put your pouch on like when it protrudes out, if that's possible. Sometimes people have like that motility where it just kind of fluctuate throughout the day. Sometimes that's helpful. However, like Ayana said, barrier rings, they also have convex barrier rings,
Mm.
oval shape, and also just circular. So just like you said, just trial and error. See what works for you, but don't give up. Just keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of skin issues because my stoma was leaning to one side because it with my weight gain over the years. Mind you, I was like 50 something pounds when I got my stoma the first time. I'm nowhere near 50 pounds now,
Mm-hmm.
but I did gain some weight, and now my stomach has like these divots in it, like it go in and out, in and out. And on that part, the stoma was kind of leaning to that side, and then it would like go underneath the wafer and cause like the rash and stuff underneath the wafer. So I'm still not great at putting on the rings, but I know my stoma nurse said to put it directly on that side where it divots in, and she told me to sit down to see where it divots to put it in there.
Mm.
Um, but I'm still learning that because I'm still stuck in my old ways about a few things. But would
And
that
some
be like something?
yes, so the barrier rings, and then two, like right before you put on the pouch, you can like flatten your skin and then put it on to see if that will help.
Mm.
I'm gonna try
And
that.
then
I'm gonna do
two,
that one.
some people like to put their barrier ring on the pouch. That's effective, but some people like to put it around their skin. And what I've noticed in my experience, if you put it on the skin, it's more effective. However, everyone is different. Sometimes it's more effective on the pouch. So it all depends on like where you put, like when you put the barrier ring on.
Right. And I don't have to use the whole barrier ring, right? If the only divot is on that one, the only leak is on that one side. So she
It
was
all
saying like
depends.
just to cut it in half and put it on that one side because that's where the trouble was.
So I've tried that on a patient and it did not work. So
Okay.
No.
go to a full ring. So it all depends. So they do have the barrier strips where you
Mm-hmm.
can actually like they have it's the strips where you can just cut it and place it into a fold or a crease. So they have like many accessories that you can try.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have them all. I'm gonna have to just play around with them again to see what I can do. May have to just call you up on video or something. So yeah, I have to. Well, my skin is good now. I've been doing like a little bit of something, but the 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 stoma then went back to the center again. For some reason, it leans to the side whenever it feels like it. No rhyme or reason, just goes over there to hang out, and then it comes back.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. I have
Those
no idea.
have a mind of their own.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
weight fluctuation.
yeah, yeah. So it
But yeah,
does that. So yeah.
But I thought it was interesting what you said about like the motility because um I have my ostomy because I have intestinal dysmotility. That's the reason, and more specifically, colonic inertia. It's my small intestine, my large intestine will not move anything basically. So I was dealing with chronic constipation and I could not eat without pain. I think some of that is also why I have a fear for in terms of the food because for 2.5 years I was starving myself because anything I put orally would cause severe pain, abdominal and rectal spasms. And so when I got my ostomy and when I finally got my pain under control, I basically had to retrain my gut to accept different types of food again. And I, would start really small. And so that on top of having an ostomy at the same time, it was rough. Because a lot of times it would cause some pain, and then if I kept doing it or kept eating it in increments, then I finally would be out of pain and I would know that, my body will tolerate this versus sometimes eating something small would just cause severe rectal spasms, and I just would never touch something like that again. But in terms of the motility, yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, I'll see my stoma going, out and in, out and in, and unfortunately with the more retraction it is painful sometimes because it's like it's something is trying to come out or push out and it's going in, and yeah, it can be frustrating, but hey, it saved our lives. So no matter what the frustration is, we wouldn't be here without them. And, having an ostomy is just a new normal, a new way of life. And like we often say, everyone poops. We just poop in a different way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, leading up to Ostomy Awareness Day, which is on October 7th, this Saturday, Ayana, what do you want the people to know about just you? Not that you have an ostomy, not the reason that you have an ostomy, but just you as a person. Because I think when people, discover our conditions, we're, oh, Letitia, she has an ostomy. We don't want to have that tagline. We
Right,
want to spread awareness, but we also want people to also know who we are as individuals as well,
right.
aside from our medical condition. So, what can you tell us about you?
So for me, I'm a strong, independent Black female. who, despite all of the medical adversity I've overcome and had to face, it has not only made me stronger, but I now have a fuller appreciation of life, because there's so many things you take for granted, like pooping or eating, and when you can't do that anymore, um or you can only do it but you have a lot of pain and suffering in the midst of it, it is something else. So
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, I just want people to know that I am a person who poops differently, but embraces life and wants people to not only consider ostomates as people too, but to also recognize that we are warriors, we are fighters, and just like any other person that has adversity in their lives, we have to overcome and fight it too. So and fight those things too. So even though the way our medical conditions or the way we poop sets us apart, we are still very similar as just human beings.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, we're just like everyone else. We're just a little differently. We look the same when we have on all our clothes. Actually,
Right.
the difference is when we don't have on our clothes. That's the only difference, and you wouldn't even know that
Yeah.
if you were standing in front of us. So we are just like anyone else, and I love that Ostomy Awareness Day is getting so much attention now. Like everyone from all around the world is showing up and being proud of who they are and their circumstance. We still have a long way to go though.
Right.
Like this is just scratching the surface.
Hmm.
And I'm happy for the little scratches that we are doing,
Right.
that yeah, that we are doing because it's getting the word out there. And optimists are some of the toughest people I know. We've gone through so much, just to live, you
Right.
know, just to be alive. Getting this type of surgery is not, it's not an easy surgery, and
Right.
it's not an easy lifestyle to adjust with at first
Right.
because it comes with that mental component of
Hmm.
it as well.
Right.
And so we had to get through a lot of things to where we are now. And if you are, you know, having the surgery soon or just had the surgery and you are not in a great place, you are where you are supposed to be.
Right.
You just can't stay there. We have all this help out here. We have all these resources for you. Um, Candace team has that buddy system. What is it called again? I love it.
New visitor.
Yes,
There. Okay.
yes, we have that ostomy visitor, and it's just for the people locally, correct? For
Locally, yes. However, the UOAA has educational resources. That's who we received our resources from. So if
Okay.
you have any questions about it, ostomy.org, you can reach out to them.
okay,
Yeah.
so we have that information for you as well through UOAA.
Right.
And yeah, so there's plenty of resources out here for us to take advantage of and to use and to keep fighting that fight every single day. So but Candace, you have any words for the people out there that may have any questions for an ostomy nurse, like you know how often should they change it? Some people don't even talk to an ostomy nurse, don't even see an ostomy nurse, can't even get to an ostomy nurse. So they have to troubleshoot a lot of things at home.
Right. I would just like to comment on the question as far as in regards to the ostomates. Like
Yeah.
forming an ostomy support group has really made me more appreciative of life and just seeing the strength that these ladies go through that we around in our groups and also gentlemen. I mean, just amazing how, like Janine has said, their resilience and how their strength just kind of keeps them going and on. not only their resilience, but their family and their support and their loved ones. And so, just
I
want to
also,
say I really appreciate your strength that you have.
Thank you.
and
Okay, Ayana.
And then go ahead.
I liked what you said when you said, we still have a long way to go, because even though, social media has helped a lot and people are speaking out and, embracing life with an ostomy, there are still so many scenarios where people or patients may look at an ostomy as a last resort, something to avoid at all costs. And it's not until they, unfortunately suffer a long time and then finally get an ostomy and then they realize, oh, I could have, had this a lot sooner and
Yeah.
been, have a good quality of life. And I was avoiding that just to avoid having an ostomy. So
Yeah.
I think even in the medical field, um, you know, there are there are cases where doctors don't want to give an a patient an ostomy, thinks they're too young for an ostomy or whatever the case may be. And we need to change that mindset, because having an ostomy is not a death sentence. Death
Mm-hmm.
is the death sentence. And a lot of times getting an ostomy not only saves your life, but often gives you a good quality of life back, because that's what it did for me.
Yeah, yeah. I was sick a long time as a child. My mom believed that I was sick from birth.
Mm,
Um, I've always been sick because I have my ostomy due to Crohn's disease.
okay.
So I've always been sick. I just don't remember a time when I wasn't sick. That's the thing. Like I don't have a time where I was living all this fun, great life, and then I got sick.
Right.
Like my earliest memory is me being sick,
Okay.
and sometimes that's kind of depressing
Mhm.
when that's your earliest memory.
Right.
I do have those memories. I do have those sad thoughts, but I just don't stay there
Right.
because I use those memories and those thoughts at as fuel to keep going to fight
Right.
the the good fight. And I make it a mission because everyone don't have buddies, everyone don't have friends.
Mhm.
A lot of optimists that I see on social media, they're begging and pleading for help because they are in rural areas.
Mhm.
That's why the virtual support groups, and that's why us sharing our stories on social media is crucial, so they can see you know how we can be.
Right.
We we are some of the few that have accepted our circumstance. We adapted to our change, and we're living, in our circumstances, and we're making the best of it. A lot of us are still not like that.
Right.
And that's where we have to come in, bind together, and help the next person.
Right.
Because at some point in time, someone helped us. We
Yeah.
didn't get here on our own.
Right.
Like we saw something sparked, or someone gave us some type of hope. So
Mhm.
spreading like that hope to the next person, that is another goal and another mission,
Mhm.
right? So that's what we're gonna have to do.
Right.
We are on the right track.
Mhm.
UOA, Coachy, all these support groups virtually. We are doing it,
Yeah.
but we still have some way to go. So on that note, we are going to say goodbye to our fans. I think we have fans now, right? We're gonna say goodbye. But this was a great conversation. This was an eye opener for a lot of people. We had a lot of great questions.
Right.
Um, we do hope we were able to answer your questions. Candace, I thank you so much for taking the time to sit and speak with us. Ayana as well.
Yeah.
Um, and all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Ostomy Awareness Day is Ostomy Awareness Day is on Saturday, October 7th.
Yep.
There are going to be some great things happening, so stay tuned. Coachy website has some things. UOAA has some things as well. So just keep watch on that.
Thank you.
Yes, everybody, thank you for attending Misconceptions with an Ostomy. Don't get it twisted. We will be sending a follow-up email, so you'll definitely have all the information about all the other events that are happening for Ostomy Awareness Day from both UOAA and from Coachy. So look out for that email. Have a good night, everyone.